sure it was there was times it kept pulling me down. I kept getting, as it's pulled me, I'm hitting this thing and hitting, but I'm holding my breath, and this thing went into absolute and total kill mode.
Jerome,
no one,
my man, thank you for joining me. First of all, let me say I'm happy you're alive. And second of all, let me give a little background to our jiu-jitsu audience of who you are. So Jerome lives in South Africa, and he started training jiu-jitsu early on with our black belt instructor in Cape Town, James Smart. And now you're a brown belt, correct? You have your own school and you teach jiu-jitsu, and you were violently attacked by a seal in the waters of South Africa. And in many ways, jiu-jitsu saved your life. Sir, take us back. Tell us the story. We need to know the details.
There was basically 3 of us. 2 of the group are jiu-jitsu coaches, myself and another guy, Joshua Hubert. And the third guy, his name is Cameron, and he is one of these rescue swimmers, one of these guys that jump out of the helicopters to rescue people. All 3 of us are fairly experienced in the water. And it was just a normal Sunday afternoon, spearfishing for myself and Josh. So we jumped into the water and we swam out 400-500 meters. I was wearing the Shark Shield, the Freedom 7, which is an electronic device at the end of my ankle, which creates almost like an electromagnetic field around me, because the white sharks, certain sharks, white sharks, the tiger and the bull shark won't come into that field. So I went down, was on the bottom of the reef, waiting for a fish. Joshua and Cameron was at the top, making sure I come up properly, because we're doing everything holding our breath. There's no scuba gear or anything like that. While at the bottom, I felt something grab my leg, and immediately just the reaction was shock. Turned around, saw it was a seal. I hit this thing. Then I noticed that it started grabbing the antenna on the Shark Shield. But as it was grabbing the Shark Shield, the seal was shocking, because there's an electric current that runs up and down this thing. That's how the technology works. Anyway, I shot up to the surface quickly. The seal followed me up, and I just said to my 2 friends, I've been attacked. And I said, and then this thing went for Cameron, grabbed him on the fin. Cameron hit the thing off, and I said, guys, let's get back to back. And Josh got bitten on the ankles a few times, so there's a couple of puncture wounds in his ankles. It ripped both fins off his feet. But this thing almost like pushed me or singled me out. We're looking at about a 300-kilogram animal. So this thing kept attacking my antenna, and every time it attacked the antenna, it kept getting shocked. And what some of the experts have been saying, which sounds most likely to me, it was basically a pub brawl. The thing tried to push me aside to say, hey, this is my area, my space, stay away. And it attacked my leg, grabbed the antenna, got a shock, thought I'm shocking it. So it came back and it kept coming at me, kept coming. And it's like the one guy's throwing a punch, the next guy throws a punch, the next guy throws a punch. And eventually this whole thing just got out of hand. And this thing went into absolute and total kill mode. From the area I was at until the beach is probably about a 30-minute swim, about half an hour. So firstly, in the beginning, I had my spear gun on the animal. I could see the silhouette as this thing was circling me. Remember, the water was only 4 meters. The visibility, I should say, was only about 4 meters. From this thing circling me, from that point to a full-on attack and a bite, was faster than I could pull that trigger while I had the gun on the thing. Just couldn't do it. The speed was absolutely incredible. This thing, it looked like almost like an animal that had on rabies. The look in its eyes. All I could see was this eye, the head, that eye, and an impressive row of teeth. That's all I could see. So what the first thing it did with me, it grabbed the end of my gun and it started trying to rip the gun out of my hand. I kept hitting this thing and it constantly tried ripping the gun out of my hand. But you know, I'm 78 kilograms. So this is a powerful animal. Physically, I could not fight this thing. So it eventually got the gun out of my hands, and it pulled the one fin off my feet, and it snapped the other fin in half. And the interesting thing is it did exactly the same thing to Josh, pulled both his fins off his feet, almost as if this animal was intelligent, took the weapons away from us. I tried to, at one point, stab the thing with my diving knife. It just came up, just bit me on the hand, so that the knife was gone. Phew, this thing for that half an hour just mauled me. All the way back to the beach. Sure, there was times it kept pulling me down. I kept getting, as it's pulled me down, I'm hitting this thing and hitting, but I'm holding my breath because I'm underwater. Getting up to the surface, taking a breath, swimming 2 or 3 meters, then it comes again. The intention of this animal was to try and, more than bite me, was drown me. So what it constantly tried to do, it came in for the bite, it would grab me and kept pulling me down. I don't know how many times it pulled me down, 20, 30 times. So I remember my head being in this thing's mouth. I remember it grabbed me on the arm and trying to pull me down. I remember hitting the thing, it spun around, grabbed me on the back, some bad bites over there. As I hit the thing off, it was just going crazy. At one point, it grabbed me and it's almost like a crocodile. It started rolling with me. And Cameron said he spotted one point which it will not leave his mind, where he saw the thing jump clean out of the water and grab me at the back of the head here. I don't remember that. But if I touch my skull, I can feel the pain. I can feel this severe bruising. But throughout this whole cycle, and even at one point about 150, 200 meters off the shore, from the shoreline, I felt like, because it was quite strange, it was almost like, so at the gym, we have 5-minute rounds. I give my students 1 minute rest, then 5-minute rounds and stuff. It's like I knew the distance back to the beat, and I was in this peaceful state, planning this thing like a fight. And I knew that I needed to have enough energy to fight this thing and stay safe and get back to the beach alive. Then what happened was I relaxed because I'm gassed. And the funny thing happened when I relaxed and I went even more relaxed than what I was, this thing went calm, which was weird experience. Then it grabbed me on the ankle and swam with me further out to sea, obviously to finish what it started. That bought me about 5 seconds, which gave me time to continue the fight. So I fought. Eventually, before the beach, I don't know, 30, 40 meters maybe, there was a rock. And I timed it that this wave picked me up and I landed on top of this rock, and I was lying flat on this rock, absolutely gassed, just so happy that I got onto that rock because I believed I was safe and I was not. So this thing came up onto the rock and continued to attack on the rock on dry land. I was lying still. I saw this with the corner of my eye. This thing's coming up with the rock, and I just stood up, got onto my feet, and I stood there. And as it came in for me, I gave it one heck of a shot. It had no effect on this animal. Then what I did was I gave it a shot under the jaw with everything that I had. And then it didn't seem to affect this animal in any single way. And then what happened was another wave came over the rock and it washed the seal off. I managed to hold onto the rock. And it went around the rock 1 or 2 times, just watching me, like inviting me back into the water, like looking at me. But the look in this thing's eyes was like, absolutely, its intention was to kill. It eventually gave up and went around a couple of big rocks to see where my other 2 friends were. As I watched it go around that rock, I took my chance. I dived into the water and I swam for my life. The last 40 meters, crawled up onto the rocks, got my fins off, and I ran as much as I could because I was absolutely gassed. But I'm worried about my 2 friends. So I went over these rocks. I ran as best as I could to see where Josh and what was happening with Cameron. I've seen Josh lying on the beach, like completely finished, and Josh is just sitting on the rocks as well. By the time we crawled up the side of the hill, we got to the top, the paramedics was there and started working with us. So for me, the state of mind that I was in, I don't know, it was almost like, and I feel it is through my training in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but it feels almost like a switch hit or something flipped in my head. And I just remember being emotionless, being very calm, very relaxed, very centered on the inside. But the outside of my body, I was fighting like an animal. So while I was fighting, I had that state on the inside. It's like I'm saying to my students and I'm saying to the media out there, the thing that saved me was my state of mind and the fact that I am very fit. So that is basically my story, what happened. I only came down to earth Thursday last week. And then it hit me what actually happened. And it hit me how lucky I am to be alive.
Yeah, when I hear this, first of all, thanks for sharing. And again, I'm so happy that not only did you survive, but because of your wetsuit and because of really the technique that you displayed and your abilities, both psychological and physical in that situation, you came out of it, I think, much better off, right? Because in terms of permanent damage, right, in terms of bone, skull, any type of cracking, it's limited. Is that correct?
Yes. So basically, in my right leg, I've got some deep puncture wounds. In my right leg, I've got quite deep. I've got a very, very deep a bite in my right knee. And I've got severe bruising all over my body. And that was because of the wetsuit, like very, very, very bad bruising. I don't know if you can see on the camera there.
Yeah.
But on my left arm. Okay, I should put the light on inside.
When I hear this, and I heard this from James, our instructor out there in Cape Town, and when I heard this, and now you're telling us you're swimming back for 30 plus minutes, getting dragged underwater every few seconds by this animal, all I can think is comfort in chaos.
Yes.
Comfort in chaos, right? The ability for you to stay centered and stay focused and stay strategic and stay present in terms of what you needed to do to achieve your goal of getting to the beach. And that is something, like you mentioned, that we do in jiu-jitsu every single day. The idea of being comfortable with discomfort, I think is something very unique that jiu-jitsu presents. And it sounds like you harnessed all of your life's jiu-jitsu experience and fitness really for that type of challenging situation. And it served you in ways probably that you never imagined it would serve you. What do you think about that?
No, absolutely. I love jiu-jitsu. I come from a traditional martial arts background. And why I switched to Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I watched a documentary many years ago called Choke by Hickson Gracie. And after watching that documentary, I thought to myself, shoo, this is very, very, very interesting. So I went to a few classes and I thought to myself, and then I realized, shoo, I actually love this. And I feel that this is what saved my life. It's the thousands and thousands of hours of being in bad positions, and having to stay calm, stay relaxed on the mat and get out of those positions. And with guys way bigger than what I am and younger. And that's what saved my life. It's so part of me to react in that way under pressure without having to think about it.
Interesting. Thank you, Jerome. And there was one other moment of the incident that really struck me. You were getting dragged down and you felt that you were so gassed, you had nothing left. You stated that you completely relaxed in that moment. That relaxation, we call it the false surrender principle. When there's nothing you can do and you're trapped against your will, by falsely surrendering, you get the attacker to relax in that moment. And it sounds like that's what happened with the SEAL. That false surrender principle is one that we use a lot, whether it's women's self-defense, whether it's regular jiu-jitsu training with much larger opponents. When you can't move, stop moving. And by doing that, you trigger a relaxation in the attacker. And it sounds like it worked perfectly. And I don't know if you're aware, but we recently released the 32 principles of jiu-jitsu, this course on the principles that make up all of jiu-jitsu. And what I'd like to do is for you and for Cameron and for Josh, I want to unlock the complete course, all 32 principles of jiu-jitsu, our new masterclass on the fundamental building blocks of our art. And I want you guys to enjoy that. I'm grateful for you sharing this story. I'm grateful you're alive. I'm grateful you're okay. And I'm just glad to have you on Team Jiu-Jitsu, bro. This is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hannah. And also thank you for what you guys do for the Jiu-Jitsu world. It is appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. We'll see you soon.
Hey guys, we just released the new Pearl Weave Rank Gi. When you order at GracieLifestyle.com, you can customize the ankle and the back patch to match the color of your belt. Currently available in all sizes and belt colors, but not for long.